Your Majesties, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for returning. Trust you and yours are well. And you're loving yourself and others like always. Many thanks to all of you for the support you give to the channel. Thank you so much to our channel members, to our anonymous supporters, to all of you, my esteemed subscribers. You loved, celebrated, and appreciated. White South Africans prepares for departure to the United States of America. And there was something that was echoed. I'm going to roll in the clip. There was something that was echoed, and that is that, of course, these white South Africans, these settlers, had accused black people, black South Africans of human rights abuses. Now it says that white people are suffering human rights abuses. So these are one of the key reasons why the program was set up to take out these South Africans. Remember when Donald Trump came in and all those decisions he made, they are pushing through with it and it is happening. And there are some South Africans, most of you are here, who are saying that most of those that are going to leave are not those that have farms. They are not farm owners, because the farm owners will definitely not leave their properties to go to America. They will prefer to remain in South Africa and make their money from South Africa. They wouldn't want to leave South Africa at all. Now, what drew my attention was what I said earlier, that white people are suffering human rights abuses. Like, come on, white people. White people in Africa are suffering human rights. Oh, goodness me. Sometimes before, I don't know people who put these things together. I don't know. But for you to say that white people are suffering human rights abuses in the continent of Africa, I think something is wrong. Something is wrong. Because we, with our homeland, we are the ones suffering human rights abuses from them, who are settlers. We are the owners of the land. We are the owners of the property. It is our inheritance, but we are the ones suffering human rights abuses. Anyway, let's listen to this information.
100 white South Africans are expected to arrive in the country out of 8,000 or so applications. How is this being received in the US? Are there concerns, particularly by refugee advocacy groups, for example?
Well, refugee advocacy groups, of course, find it utterly astonishing that a Trump administration that would close America's doors almost wholesale to refugees from all over the world, because that is, in essence, what President Trump has done in the weeks since he returned to the White House on January the 20th, would throw America's doors open for one group of people, Afrikaner farmers, based on a false statement that the president has made about the Expropriation Act. He argues that those farmers are being dispossessed of their lands without compensation. He also argues more broadly that white Afrikaner farmers are suffering human rights abuses at the hands of President Ramaphosa's government. And of course, the United States government chides President Ramaphosa for the position that South Africa took at the ICJ, accusing Israel and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of war crimes. But it is an extraordinary moment for the United States to be opening its doors to refugees whose processing time for transition to a new life in America has been fast-tracked to just 3 months, where the standard processing time has been 18 to 24 months, and that was before Donald Trump shut America's doors. I think it's fair to say that most Americans don't really know this is taking place, and it's curious that the government wants to send, apparently, this delegation of US government officials to Dulles Airport to welcome the first Afrikaners as they fly in, because that will certainly raise visibility of this within the United States. And it's not clear that the American public will necessarily back it. I mean, Republican Trump voters don't want anybody coming in. They want America's doors shut, and they certainly aren't particularly literate in the politics of South Africa. And Democrats, of course, will say, well, if you're letting white Afrikaner farmers into the United States, why are the doors closed to so many other deserving people who have applied for refuge in America. But it's an astonishing symbol of how low the bilateral relationship between the two countries has fallen, and we'll wait to see when these planes are going to arrive, when these people are going to arrive, and what level of welcome they are provided by the Trump administration.
Simon Marks is our Washington correspondent. Simon, thanks very much indeed. And just to note, government officials in South Africa say they are working on a response, also rejecting the idea that Afrikaners are being targeted.
All right, Majesties, what do you think about this? Of course, I know there is a plan behind this. It's not just happening because, white people are targeted, human rights abused, or what have you. The truth is that there is something that they are working on. I think when this issue started, when Donald Trump took over initially and started this, I was like, we have to be careful because at this point, of course, we are aware, we know that South Africa do not belong to them. They came in as settlers, and nobody is taking lands from them forcefully. They are the ones taking lands from the originals forcefully. Okay, they are the ones that are discriminating against the originals of the land. They are the ones that want to pursue the originals of the land and take ownership. You see what is happening in that region called Israel, how they keep fighting those who are there before, taking over their land. It is this, the tactic, this is how they do. They come to you, act like, okay, they're just looking for a place to stay. You give them opportunity, they settle, they begin to fight you to kick you out and take possession of your land. When you look into history, this is their game, this is what they do. Now, for Donald Trump to be interested in these people and, okay, calm, when he had pursued a lot of persons who were deserving and just working very fast to bring these people in, something is happening. They're not just doing this because, like I said, they have a plan, a bigger plan, and I just wish and hope that Ramaphosa understands this game and he knows exactly what is happening. Like I was saying initially, that there is no way that these farm owners will leave their hectares of land, their business, and then go stay in America. Definitely, it's not farm owners who are living South Africa. Remember, there was a video of what Maya made about South Africa, about Urania and the part where Black people are not allowed except to come and work as house help and work in the farms. These farm owners, these settlers, had prepared a heaven for themselves in South Africa, and they are not ready. They would never be ready to leave this heaven of theirs to go to America where they are not even sure of the policy. What if another president comes in maybe in the next 4-8 years and then push them back? Where are they going to? How are they going to start? And that is why it is just logical that farm owners would never want to leave South Africa to go to the United States of America. Like we all heard that the South African government, have been accused of, not treating these white people well. And that's why Donald Trump is saying, okay, come, since Ramaphosa is not treating you well, which we all know is a lie. And that's why I said that something is definitely behind this decision. I don't know what plans they have. I can't say this is the plan, but something is definitely behind this. Okay? Because it's not logical, it's not normal to come to come up publicly and say that Africans are maltreating the whites in their mission. Africans that are worshipping white. Look at South Africans. South Africans can fight you for their white brothers and sisters. And this is the same white people that Donald is saying that blacks in South Africa are maltreating. So what are we believing? What are we, of course, you see, look at the issue of, what's her name? Chidima, when her issue was up there, a lot of South Africans told us openly that they prefer the white people in their midst to the black ones that are coming. Because I feel like the black ones are not giving them, they're not gaining anything from the blacks, but they are gaining something from the whites. So how on earth is the black South Africans maltreating or abusing the human rights of these whites? Now, if you say that Africans are abusing the human rights of these whites in South Africa, then what are we going to say about the situations of Black people around the world, especially those in Europe and America, who are being maltreated by the outright, abuse of human rights? Okay? Outright racism before your face. What are we going to say about that? That is to say, you are aware of all the evil that you do to Black people. Because these whites in South Africa are treated as kings and queens, and you are out there saying that they are being maltreated. That is, you know exactly the evil that you are doing to Black people who are living in your part of the world, how you maltreat them, okay? How you do not see anything good about them. There is a video that, I don't know whether it's all before this one or maybe after this one, where the lady was like, she can never live close to a Black person. So what are we going to say about that? What are we going to say about that? Like, innate hate. There is this hatred rooted inside. So it is the opposite. It is the white South Africans that are maltreating and abusing the human rights of the Blacks in their own homeland. This is the situation we see by day. Remember the farmer who unalive workers, 2 workers in his farm, and threw their body to the pigs to eat. This is a white man. Was it a Black man who killed white people? No. It was a white farm owner who had killed those who were working for him and threw their bodies to the pigs. That case had died down. We don't even know how that case ended. Since it wasn't a white person, they might not sanction. Something serious might not happen. And then we have cases similar to this. Not 1, not 2, not 3. They are happening before our faces. And then Donald Trump is coming to tell us that we are the ones who are abusing the human rights of these white people. Come on, it's not logical. Something is not connecting. Definitely, there is a reason why they are shifting this whole thing to abusing the human rights of white people, because they have a plan, like I said from the beginning. What do you think about this whole situation? Leave your thoughts and opinion there at the section. I'm going to see you in my next one. Until then, love yourself, love others, stay safe, stay positive, always your majesties. Bye for now.
Black people are not the original inhabitants of South Africa, which, in fact, they're realizing that now. When they claimed that they owned all the land, the original inhabitants, of whom there are not many left, said, excuse me, no, we were the original inhabitants, you guys were migrants here as well, which they were. Okay, the original inhabitants of Southern Africa are called the Khoisan. In the West, the Bushmen are Khoisan. Hottentots are Khoisan. But you can't use those words anymore, you now have to call them Khoisan, okay? All right, now, and they were the inhabitants of the whole of Southern Africa. So the whole of South Africa, at one stage, were Khoisan. The Black people originated in what is now Cameroon. That's where they...
Hold on, Khoisan aren't Black?
No.
What are they?
They're a completely separate ethnicity all on their own. In fact, if you look at them, they're kind of yellowy. They're a light brown yellow color, right. But they look more Asian than African. They do not consider themselves African.
Interesting.
When the white guys arrive in Cape Town, so 1652 is when Dutch guys arrived there. At that stage, you could have divided South Africa almost exactly 50-50, what's now South Africa. The western half of the country was entirely Khoisan. There were no Black people there. None at all. Only Khoisan. So we're Cape Towners, all that area, Khoisan people. The northern part of the country did have Black people. They'd started arriving, and they were still migrating.
How long had they been there in the northern?
Well, it's a moot point, and people have debated it. It would seem that Black people had probably started arriving in the northern parts of South Africa, maybe 1,000 years, something like that, about 1,000 years before whites got there, right up in the north. Okay, and they've been slowly moving south because it's an empty space. I mean, one of the things about Africa is it's very empty. Up until the 1950s, Africa was very empty. It's the population exploded because white colonists, the naughty white colonists, put hospitals there, and there's been this huge population explosion since the 1950s. But Africa was really very empty up until then. And so tribes moved around and just occupied new empty territory. So the guys coming down from the north, who called the Bantus, it's called the Bantu expansions when Black people came out of the Cameroons. They'd been occupying South Africa and moving systematically south, down the east coast of South Africa.
Pastoralists, am I right?
Yeah. They were pastoralists, yeah. Whereas the Khoisan were hunter-gatherers. They were like Aboriginals, okay? So they hadn't become pastoralists yet. The black guys are migrating down from the north and settling, doing exactly what white guys are doing. So white guys, the Dutch guys from Cape Town, were settling by moving eastwards. So the white guys are moving from Cape Town eastwards, and the black guys are moving down from the north. And they met at a place called the Fish River, which is now in the middle of South Africa at a place called, it's still called Border. Everybody in South Africa calls that part of the country the border, even though there's no border there at all anymore. But there was a river called the Fish River, which is where blacks and whites first encountered each other. And then it started 100 years of warfare between whites and the Xhosa, who were the tribe that they met there. So, okay, so at that point, that would have been in about 1700. So whites and blacks first encountered